The Sixers social media team is about to make me run through a brick wall.
The Philadelphia 76ers made the biggest splash so far, landing all-star Paul George,
Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and of course Paul George, the preeminent big three headed into next season.
They get Kelly Oubre back, they get Kyle Lowry back, they get Andre Drummond, they get Eric Gordon, they get Caleb Martin.
It is going to be beautiful to watch those guys play basketball together.
You look at the overall mechanics of the squad, plus a great year won by Nick Nurse. Like, it's all come together.
They're a bona fide title contender.
championship aspirations.
They got Paul George shooting jumpers, Embiid looking slim, PG, Oubre, Kyle Lowry, Andre Drummond, Eric Gordon, Reggie Jackson. Oh my gosh. Yabusele looking jacked over there. I might have to go back to that one. KJ Martin looking swole. Maxey, of course, looking swole. And PG with the smooth jumper. This Sixers season's about to go crazy. Yabusele here. Oh my gosh, this man's been in the gym looking swole. Hopefully Embiid's been in the gym with him. Hopefully the whole team's been in the gym. I'm so hyped for this season. Alright, so what I want to talk about today is the rebounding issue and the power forward issue or the wing issue that everybody keeps bringing up. I think it's blown way out of proportion. I don't think the Sixers are going to have a rebounding issue this year. I don't think they had that much of a rebounding issue last year. The problem was that we faced the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA, in the Knicks, when Embiid was coming back from an injury, and we could not out-rebound that team. And the offensive rebounds that they kept getting were killing us. They got more offensive rebounds than we did. They got more offensive rebounds than any team in the NBA last year. And it just so happened in that matchup, that was the killer in the matchup. I think if the Sixers were matched up with the Pacers, if they were matched up with the Heat, I think if they were matched up with any other team in the East besides the Celtics last year, the Sixers would have came out in the second round. And I think they would have made it past the second round. They would have faced the Celtics in the conference finals. But they got matched up with the Knicks, who kind of were the Sixers' kryptonite. And that's how we lost in the first round. Obviously, if Embiid didn't get hurt last year, we wouldn't have faced the Knicks in the first round. We would have had a better seeding. We would have played Orlando. We would have played Miami. We would have played anybody else but them, honestly. We probably would have ended up the second seed, because our win percentage with Embiid healthy had us at the highest win percentage, right there with the Celtics. Obviously, Embiid's always going to miss a few games, so the Celtics still would have finished first, but I very much believe the Sixers would have been right there at number 2. So I want to talk to you about the rebounding issue that everybody brings up. Look at the Celtics last year. Did the Celtics have any player on their team who averaged 10 rebounds a game? I don't think they did. Jason Tatum was probably their leading rebounder. I'd say he averaged 8 or 9 rebounds a game. Their second highest rebounder was probably Kristaps Porzingis or Al Horford, and neither of those two guys averaged 10 rebounds a game. So I don't think when the fans all talk about we need someone who's going to come in and grab rebounds, Embiid grabs a lot of rebounds. Embiid is the 23rd highest percentage rebounder in the NBA. Embiid grabs rebounds. He needs help grabbing rebounds, but he doesn't need someone who's going to be a dominant rebounder in the game with him. He just needs good, hard-nosed, go for every single ball type of rebounders in the game with him. And I think we have that with Kelly Oubre, who's averaged over 6 rebounds a game at one point in his career. Paul George, who's averaged over 8 rebounds per game for one season in his career. Caleb Martin, who's just a dog. Never averaged more than 5 rebounds, but he goes hard for rebounds. Yabusele now on the team. That dude is jacked. We saw that in this promo video. He's going to help our rebounding issue when he comes into the game. Caleb Martin and KJ Martin both get up off the ground. They'll be able to grab some rebounds. I just think that we need to do a better job scheming for the rebounding issue, especially against a team like the Knicks. Most other teams in the NBA, I'm not worried about them out-rebounding us besides maybe the Bucks. We can rebound with any team in the NBA. Guess what? We also have Andre Drummond, who's going to be coming in off the bench and starting some games when Embiid is out. He is the number one rebounder in the NBA and has been for the last probably 10 seasons. That still held true up to last year. He was number one in offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, and total rebounding out of players who play 15 minutes or more. The rebounding issue will not be an issue. I looked at all of the champions for the last 6 seasons, so from 2017-18 to 23-24, and none of those teams that won the championship were the number one rebounder in the NBA. The 17-18 Warriors were 19th in rebounding percentage. The 18-19 Raptors, 13th. The 19-20 Lakers, 6th. The 20-21 Bucks, 5th. The 21-22 Warriors, 8th. The 22-23 Nuggets, they were 4th. And the 23-24 Celtics were 5th. But guess what? In 17-18, the Sixers were 1st. 18-19, they were 4th. 19-20, that year with Al Horford and Josh Richardson, we were 2nd in rebounding in the NBA. In 2021, 8th. So the rebounding has been blown way out of proportion. We've had seasons with Ben Simmons where we were the best rebounding team in the NBA. We were a top 5 rebounding team in the NBA. That was basically every year with Embiid and Ben Simmons. And did it win us a chip? No, it did not. Now, I'm not saying we need to be terrible on the boards, and being terrible on the boards is going to be conducive to victory. All I'm saying is that I think it's been blown out of proportion. We have multiple players on the court, 6'6" and taller, Caleb Martin, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, all 6'6", 6'7", or 6'8", helping out Embiid, who grabs 11, 12 rebounds a game. We do not have a rebounding issue. We will not have a rebounding issue. Andre Drummond is backing up Embiid. We have KJ Martin and Yabusele off the bench. We are going to be fine this year. There are other rules that predict winning way more than rebounding does. How about this? The 40-20 rule. If your team reaches 40 wins before they get 20 losses, they are almost guaranteed to be a contender or NBA champion. Basically, every NBA champion, I think 95% of them, won 40 games in the regular season before they had 20 losses. So that's what we need to monitor this year. How fast do we get to 40 wins? Something else, 38 out of 45 NBA champion teams won 57 games in a regular season, or had that pace in a shortened season. Only twice has a team won being lower than a 3 seed. 90% of the time, it is a 1 or a 2 seed that wins the NBA championship. 25 out of 28 top 10 in defensive rating. So most NBA champions are top 10 in defensive rating. Can we do that? I think with this roster we can. All NBA champs since 2014 have been top 5 in adjusted net rating. The Sixers had a few years where we were in the top 5. We never broke through. Or we faced another team that was in the top 5 in adjusted net rating. So it happens. Matchups. 42 out of 45 NBA champions were top 5 in offensive rating, defensive rating, or both. And then 26 out of 29 last NBA champions were top 10 in defensive rating. So if we could get all those things going this year, that's what we need to be watching out for. If we can do those things, we will be past the second round. We can be NBA champions. A stat that led to predictive winning in the NBA was 50% weighted by effective field goal percentage. So the most important thing when it comes to stats and winning in the NBA is having a good effective field goal percentage. That means you're making your twos at a good rate, and you're probably shooting a bunch of threes, and you're making those at a pretty good rate. So how do the Sixers shoot more threes? How do we get more threes in the air? Because we have the shooters. We have Eric Gordon. We have Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. Embiid needs to shoot more threes. I don't care what anybody else says. He needs to shoot more threes. It's easier on his body. He shoots them at a really good rate. He connects on them at a really good rate. How do we get those guys shooting more threes? We know they're going to be able to score twos. Embiid is one of the best mid-range shooters in the NBA. Tyrese Maxey is a speed demon who gets to the basket at will. Paul George can score at all three levels. Those guys are going to be efficient scorers. How do we get everybody else around them scoring efficiently? How do we get Kelly Oubre good spots, good dunks in the dunker spot? How do we get him cutting and getting good shots? How do we get him near the basket so he can finish at a good rate? How do we get good looks for Caleb Martin? How does the team stay efficient with Embiid off the floor, or if Paul George is sitting? I feel like we addressed those issues in the offseason. We got a lot of ballers on this team. We should not have issues winning without Paul George, without Embiid, without Maxey sometimes. We have role players who can step up and play big in those games where any of those guys sit. After effective field goal percentage, turnover percentage is the next highest predictor in winning. But third on the list is offensive rebound percentage. And it's more about getting more offensive rebounds than the opposing team. So Embiid being 62nd in that because he doesn't hang out near the basket on offense. He's more at the perimeter, the top of the key. How do we get more offensive rebounds around Embiid? Kelly Oubre has to be in the dunker spot grabbing boards. And we have to have guys who come into the game like Andre Drummond, Yabusele, KJ Martin. They need to be grabbing boards when they're in the game. Offensive rebounds. When Embiid, Maxey, or Paul George misses, other guys need to be grabbing those boards and getting us extra possessions. That's how we're going to win. I actually think the Pacers figured out that meta, and the reason why they did so well is because while other teams in the NBA have been focusing on offensive rebounds, so they crash the glass, the Pacers just take off and start running down the court. They're looking for the next basket. They don't care about the offensive rebound or the defensive rebound. They just run and gun. So I think that was why they had success. So the Sixers, in order to be successful this year, cannot be bad at offensive rebounding and be bad at getting back on defense. They got to choose one or the other. If we're not going to be that good at offensive rebounds, we need to be good at getting back on defense. And if we're not good at getting back on defense, we need to crash the glass and just sell out on that and grab the ball more on offensive rebounds so that we could get extra possessions. I'm super excited for this season. And if you've stuck around this far, I appreciate the support to my channel. I'll be coming out with a lot more content. I have actually another video lined up, ready to go. So right after this one gets posted, 3 days later, I'm going to have another video posted about something that you all should like. So if you've stuck around this far, appreciate it. And like always, like, comment, subscribe. You know.